Ladies and gentlemen, you are most definitely tuned to 3T TV, which is Thika's #1 online news channel, where as always, we are telling the Thika story as it is. My name is Juliet Mudhoni, and today we are going to meet a very special gentleman who is, a, who is described as a British traveler who was born and bred here in Thika, and he has been doing a tour around the world. We want to have a sit down with him. We want to find out why he decided to take that tour and the challenges that he has faced. And most importantly, we want to celebrate him because he's from our own hometown, that is Thika, and he is doing a big things and he is recognized globally. I also hope that by the end of this link, if you haven't subscribed to this wonderful channel, that is a 3T TV, we will have given you a good reason enough to. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good.
Thank you so much
Thank you very
for
much.
finding time to talk to
Yeah,
us.
it's brilliant.
We really, really appreciate.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's nice being here in Thika, and it's my hometown. I was born here, so it's a great opportunity for people in Thika to learn about my experiences and all.
Yeah,
You know.
we want to celebrate you because you're doing big things from from Thika to the world.
Yeah, yeah.
That is how I would put it. So
Yes.
we would like to celebrate you because you've put Thika on the world map.
Absolutely, that's really nice, and that's what is really good for Thika. And I feel really nice to be here in Thika. It's my birthplace, my hometown, so it's nice to put Thika on the world map as well.
Mm.
Yeah.
Awesome. So let's have a
Sure.
sit and then we'll
Yes.
have a discussion.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is Malkit Rooprai, Malkit Singh Rooprai. Uh, I was born in on the Del Monte estate in Thika, Kenya. And before there used to be sisal there, and then they ripped out all the sisal and grew pineapples and all. And my dad was an engineer with them. So my early schooling was done at, in fact, here in Mangu, there used to be a school called Mary Hill School. It was run by missionary nuns. So again, we were very open-minded. We used to go to the church in the morning and used to baptize, at the church, and then we used to start the schooling there. So I did pretty much about the first 3 or 4 years of my early schooling at Mary Hill, and then from there transferred to Gatumaini, which used to be called MP Shah Primary School, and then it changed the name to Gatumaini Primary School, and then from there Gatumaini Primary School, finished my O levels. I went to Equator. I did my primary school there. Went to Equator to do my O levels, and then I came into Chania to do my A levels. So I think so. We were the first batch of A level students that when A levels were launched at Chania High School. So once I finished my A levels, the problem there was again Kenya was developing. So there was only two universities, so everybody couldn't go to university. So we had to look at going abroad to study. So that was like a chronological order of the schools that I attended here in Thika. Thika has developed a lot. Back in the day, it was a very beautifully organized town. You had four streets running parallel to each other. And then you had the workshops around one side, the government administration buildings on the other side near the police station. We had the beautiful 12 December hotel. That was nice, but now when I went to visit it, it's no longer there. All the shops were like one-story shops. You didn't have an upper floor, but comparing it now, we've got high-rise buildings. Shop floors have gone up to 10, 12 stories high. So Thika has grown a lot. And now the other experience I had of Thika is that Thika used to have Thika nicely defined, then used to have Juja nicely defined, and then Ruiru, and then you ended up in Nairobi. But now it seems as if it's all connected. You can't actually differentiate now. You're in Thika and all. But those are the kind of changes that have happened, and the population has grown. It's not only in Thika; it's worldwide. The population has grown. So those are some of the changes. But it's nice to visit old landmarks in places where I used to sit in Thika. With friends, with the school colleagues and all. And good experiences were. Example, again, being very open-minded. My African friends, they used to all come back from school holidays, and then we used to gather up at Kahuroko Bar, you know, and sit down there and talk about the holidays, how it went, and all, and then we would start studying and all. So these are some of the old landmarks: the clock tower, the garden. So these are old landmarks that I visited and all. You see, and I find myself it's very peaceful here in Thika. You see, I still find it a very peaceful place to be. I left in 1978 to go to the UK for further studies, and I always keep coming back to Kenya because that's what I consider my home. And so I've been living in the UK. I've been traveling to Kenya. Uh, and now then after that decided about a couple of years ago to actually come and see Africa by road, so and see what Africa has to offer, what are the problems people face overlanding, and and what the issues are, and hopefully a lot will come out of this experience of mine, that a lot of youngsters will be motivated to try and carry out such a journey. So I left the UK on the 6th of October 2022, and then I decided to cross over from the UK to through through France, through Spain, and then from Spain crossed over the Strait of Gibraltar and on to Morocco. So it's quite interesting is that distance between Spain and Morocco, it's only 8.5 kilometers, and once the car was on the ferry, it only literally took about 25 minutes to touch Africa. So that's the interesting part is within 25 minutes, you're in on the African continent. And then so I decided to drove from Morocco down towards Mauritania, Western Sahara. Then I went down into Gambia, Senegal, Sierra Leone, and down the west coast of Africa. And then from that side, I went down to Central Africa through Cameroon, Gabon, Republic of Congo, down towards Cabinda, the DRC, and then on towards Angola, Namibia, and then on to South Africa. So now the next part of the journey was actually, first part was from London to Cape Town, and the second part was going to be from Cape Town going upwards towards Egypt. So that's the second part of the journey, and that's what when I passed from South Africa to Botswana, through to Zimbabwe, Zambia, Rwanda, Burundi, Uganda, and now here I'm in Kenya. And it's such a good feeling for me that I actually drove all the way from London to come and visit my birthplace here in Thika, you know.
Awesome.
So that gives you a summary of the journey that I've carried out. It's almost taken me over 7 months to do. The interesting part is it was actually visiting different places in Africa to actually see what there was, the beautiful wildlife, the waterfalls, the monuments, the structures, old historic buildings, and also it was part of a very good adventure, that it wasn't just a case of driving, it was actually seeing Africa and what Africa has to offer. So I've roughly covered a distance of about 70,000 kilometers, so that's the overall journey that has been carried out.
Mm.
Yeah.
You're described as a British traveler who was born in Thika. Why did you choose to travel by car? What is the fascination of traveling by car?
The fascination of traveling by car is you see a lot more. It's such an interesting journey. You take your time, you stop, you see places. You not only see places, you meet different people. You try out different foods. You visit. You see different cultures. And that's the really interesting part of traveling by road. You see, by flight you would just fly in and then fly out. You miss a lot more than half of the country. Because that's traveling by road gives you the real experience of what Africa is all about. And Africa is the best continent to actually carry out such an adventurous journey.
Now, the other question would be, traveling by car all by yourself.
Yes.
Are you traveling all by yourself?
Yes.
How do you manage to stay alert throughout the whole
Yeah,
journey?
so there's a lot of planning and all that needs to be done. There is never a dull moment, because one thing is you're driving, you've got to concentrate on the road, but also on the back of your head is that where am I going to go and stay the night? What happens to the car? What happens, if uh, on the road? The roads have been very, very good. I think so 80% of the journey was the roads were very good. 20% of the roads were bad, but there's a lot of thing that goes on where you're going to stay the night. So a typical example is I never drove at night. So when the sun was going to set, you always started looking for a place to stay, and this place could be anywhere. Example, staying at a border post. I slept at police checkpoints. I even in the Republic of Congo actually slept in an African compound because it was raining so heavily, and it was getting dark. So I just hooted and I asked the African gentleman there. I said, "It's really raining here. Can I camp in your compound?" And he was very welcoming, and he said, "Yes, just bring the car here." I stopped the car, parked the car there, and opened my rooftop tent, which I'll show you the car afterwards, and stayed the night there. But even in the morning, he actually heated water for me to have a shower. So I went around the back of his house, had a shower, had a coffee and all, and that was such a brilliant experience for me, you know. And it just shows how welcoming African people are.
Mm.
Yeah.
Now, I'd like you to tell us about the safety of the car that you're using,
Yes.
because you're doing very many kilometers.
Here is Malaika. Uh, you can see the original plan of the journey was London, Cape Town, Cairo, and would have been really nice to do that journey. But then that's the car itself, you know. So it's got a, a snorkel here. So snorkel was really important to pass through the deep puddles on the road in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Then it's got an awning, so the awning you can actually pull out here. And when you camp in at a campsite or at a beach and all, you can have the awning coming out. At the top over there is the rooftop tent. So the rooftop tent basically opens out, and it actually turns out into a kind of a double bed, you know. And obviously, I wanted this flag put on the car as I traveled through Africa, so people knew that I was actually born in Kenya, and that was very important for me. And these are some of the countries where I actually got the flags, and you can see some of them have actually come off, but these are some of the flags of the countries I passed through. And then along the way, I met a lot of people. This was again a very important thing, and I wish Kenya took more note of this. This is promoting Mama Samia Sululu of Tanzania's royal tour, you know. And that was one of the things is when I left United Kingdom, I actually watched some of these videos and all, and that became a talking point in Tanzania, you know. And so they put these stickers on in Tanzania, and that became a story, and people started watching those videos for the work Mama Samia is doing, you know. And then inside the car is basically, uh, I'll show you a bit of the inside of the car. Uh, so again, you can actually see it's got fuel tanks here, spare fuel to carry. There's water carried inside as well, and then you know there's mud tracks in case the car gets stuck. You know, the back part of the car. You know, so that's it's basically equipped, and basically you've got a drop down table here, so you can take that out. So this becomes your cooking board and all, and then you've got a fridge in here. So that's the fridge, you know. So it's nice to have like cold drinks and all in there. You can actually have food and all as well. Some of the regions are quite remote and all, but you know you can buy food. There's so much fruit growing in Africa, and also you know it's quite adequate. This fridge can be pulled out all the way, and then you've got these pull-out drawers here, you know. So these hold all the kind of food items, your cooking forks, knives. There's a kettle there, you know. So you can boil water and all. So this was my food container. So I brought a lot of tinned foods and all from the UK and all. It's important you carry food, spare food, because you don't know on such a journey where you might get stuck. You could have problems in the car, and you must make sure you have food and all that you can cook and eat as well. You know, but that gives you sort of a basic rundown of Malaika itself here. Basically, the it's only got one spare tire, it's which is sitting under there, and I didn't. I got a new set of tires, and I didn't need to change the tires at all. You know, And I think so they've also still got about 40% life in them. The important thing is that because you're driving yourself, you take a lot of care on how you drive the car, so that is important. It's don't brake often. I had to change the brake pads about 5 times, but that was the only thing. And then after I got the car serviced twice. In fact, yeah, that was the only thing that you need to do. So driving carefully, not over speeding the car, and that I didn't have to. The only thing is I got one puncture, you know, and it was a slow puncture, and that was about the only thing that happened. So you can actually see it's from the UK, yeah, as well. So I still love Kenya. I still try and put Kenya flags.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, okay, you know. So again, a key item here is you need to, when you're overlanding, a lot of countries ask you must have a fire extinguisher in your car, you know, and then it's basically standard, nice camera holder. You've got USB charging points and all in there, you know. Uh, Plenty of water you need to carry, drinking water, but that's readily available in Africa, so it's not really an issue, you know. But yeah, so this is the inside of the car at the moment. Yeah, this is from Eldoret. Yeah, uh, this is Kabyanga tea from Kericho. Yeah. Uh, Again, Mama Samia, this is the Simba portfolio. They've got a lot of lodges in the national parks of Tanzania. So they've got a lodge in Serengeti, Karatu, Tarangire. But again, this was because of traveling. People were actually saying that put your sticker on, and they looked after you along the way and all. And then obviously, an important thing that I enjoyed doing is the WRC, supporting the WRC rally, which is going to be held in Kenya. And this was one of the first stickers that I was presented. Even nobody has got these stickers, so it was a nice gesture by the WRC rally to actually give me this sticker of ours here. I love Africa, obviously. I love Africa, And then these are various stickers where people have got workshops. They supported me, you know, looked after my car if I had any issue and all. So these are kind of some of the stickers that we had, you know, from here. This one is obviously Hakuna Matata. Hakuna Matata. This one is it's a very old stamp shop in Nairobi on Biashara Street, and this is where, as a child, I used to go and buy my stamps, you know, and they heard about this journey, and they actually then presented me. I haven't sort of put the flags on. They gave me all the countries that I traveled in, because you can't actually go and buy the flags because you're traveling. Some countries they don't appreciate their flags, but these guys, the Harrier Stamp Shop, they actually gave me a collection of all the stamps. So hopefully, when I get the time, I'm going to take all those off, and then I'll stick all the flags of the countries that I've been through.
How do you ensure,
Yeah.
considering the terrain, and I want to imagine
Yes.
not all that you see on Google Maps is how it actually is
Correct.
when you go on the road.
Sure.
How do you ensure that your safety is well taken care of?
Yeah. So safety is that, for a start, I can tell you one thing is that telecommunications has improved in Africa so much. So the key thing here is that every border I crossed, I actually got a local SIM. And you get a local SIM, you put it in your phone. It's so cheap as well. And once you have a local SIM, you got access to the internet, you got access to maps. But also the other side is that some places are very, very, very remote, and you don't have communication. So what you do there is you actually download offline maps. So the offline maps actually give you you're never lost.
Yeah.
You've always got access to somewhere to go to and all, But also the other thing is, like, again, communication has improved. It's a new world of traveling. You have WhatsApp groups of people. So overlanders are called. It's like a different community in the world, a community of people who travel by road, and they also keep in touch by having WhatsApp groups. So they actually inform each other. You stay at campsites, which is another beauty of it. You stay at campsites, you meet other overlanders, you discuss where they've come from, where they're going, issues, problems they've had, and it's a really nice way of traveling because of this overall community of travelers.
Mm.
Yeah.
Then there are also other challenges, the
Sure.
challenges that you face. There are quite a myriad of challenges considering you're crossing from border to border.
Sure.
And in Kenya, we drive on the right hand.
Yes.
Then you go where they're driving on the left hand. How are you
Correct.
able to keep up with that?
Yeah, I think so. The way you keep up. Let's start with the border crossings. Border crossings have been absolutely immaculate. I've not had any issue at border crossings. All what you need is the right documentation. So the visas I got, the only visa I got from the United Kingdom was for Nigeria, and the rest of all the visas I got when I was actually you get visa on arrival. Another beauty of African countries is that they've got an e-visa system now. So you apply online, you get an authorization, you take the authorization to the border, and they give you a visa. The other one was where you actually go to consulates in previous countries. So, for example, in Gambia, I got the visas for Benin, Togo. But it's a very smooth process. It's not uh, too much hassle. The other thing is, it's just possibly because I've got a British passport, so it does help as well. So it really depends on what passport you have as well. But yeah, no issues on border crossings and all on that front.
Mm.
Yeah, driving from. So what happens is when you start coming, it's the drive on the left hand side of the road. All what I did was actually follow the car in front of me, so I knew which way to keep, which road to take. How they turn. And then when you turn on the right hand drive, you actually follow the car in front of you again. So it wasn't really a problem as such, but there's currencies change between countries as well. So again, that's another issue, is that you have to keep in touch with what the currency rates are. Again, we are living in a modern world where you have a currency app, and that app will roughly tell you, what the exchange rate is going to be. So people who exchange the money have to make some money, but you know, at least you've got a guide with you on what that should be. You know.
Now, talking of currency, there's also a challenge of communication
Yes.
in
Yeah.
the different countries that you
Correct.
go to.
Yes.
How is that? Please tell us about
Yeah.
that.
So West Africa is all French. A lot of people speak French there, but again, what we've got is we've got Google Translate.
Aha.
So you speak to Google Translate and say, can I have a glass of water? And that translates into French. And then he knows that you want water. And if he wants to ask you another question, he'll speak into Google Translate. It translates it back into English. But that was the French part of it. Then you've got Angola where they speak Portuguese. Again, the same issue. But then after that, most of the African countries speak English. And I'm very fluent in Swahili, and that also was very good because starting from like Zambia, Tanzania, Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, you know, Kenya, it was Swahili, and people were very, very fascinated that this guy is so fluent in Swahili.
How long did it take for you to prepare for this journey?
I would say that it took me at least 1.5 years. But again, it's preparing for the eventuality. So for example, I because you're traveling by road and all, you look at possibly you might have to fill up water from a river and all, so you carry sanitizing tablets with you.
Mm.
You carry first aid boxes, you carry medication and all. But tell you what, I went to when I left the United Kingdom, my GP told me that you need to take 6 months of malaria tablets.
Mhm.
And so I said, it's a bit difficult eating malaria tablets every day. So all what I did was carry a jungle formula spray, and in the evening you spray that on your body and all, and that's malaria taken care of. Yeah. But you have to, because Africa, you don't know what outbreaks they can have and all. But I had masks, I had sanitizers with me and all that I carried in the car. You know.
Mm. Then, what guided your choice of the route that you have taken?
I think so. The route choice I made was right. The route choice was right because when you come towards East Africa and all, that's where the best part of the journey is. And like from West Africa side, there are places to see and visit and all. But when you start coming towards the East African coast from South Africa, going towards coming towards Kenya, there's a lot more. There's wildlife, to see. There's waterfalls to see and all. And that was the route that I was taking. But eventually, I wanted to go towards uh, through from Kenya, go drive towards Ethiopia, Sudan, Egypt, and then back on to the European continent. But now the main stumbling block at the moment is the conflict in Sudan.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but luckily again, it's things can erupt. So, example, when I was crossing from Nigeria to Cameroon, there was the Cameroon conflict, and that in that instance they said that you cannot foreign cars are not allowed to cross that border. So you have to work out alternatives, and so there should always be a plan B in case of such instance. You know, keep your ears open. You know, talk to people. They'll be very helpful as well. You know, yeah. You see,
Let's also talk about the choice of your car. Which
yeah.
car are you using and why did you pick that car?
Yeah, so basically, I picked the Toyota Land Cruiser Prado. It's a 120 series and it's got a D4D engine. And I think so that's the most ideal car for traveling in Africa. You know, you get readily, you get, in fact, I also, when I traveled, I actually brought spare parts with me, you know, basic spare parts that one would need. But then Toyota is the car that everybody is very common in Africa. You get mechanics to repair any issues and all that you have. So yeah, that was the most ideal car, and it's a diesel as well. You know, so I didn't do any special modification and all on it, but I put on a good set of new tires. Again, again in the African continent is that you know the police can stop you and you say your tires are too old. You know, so these are the kind of planning checks that you need to do before you set up on this kind of journey. You know what kind of insurance you need. You know the car has got a passport itself. It's the car has got the passport. It's called the carnet de passage. So what that helps is the movement of the car between countries. So as you enter a country, they will stamp you in. When you exit the country, they will stamp you out. So that's a passport for the car. So it makes the journey so much easier. And definitely anybody doing this, you need to get a carnet de passage. There might be one or two countries that don't conform to that protocol, but then you get a temporary import permit. Again, it's not difficult to get at the border. You know, insurance. There's ECOWAS insurance that covers you from Gambia all the way down to Gabon, several countries, and then the Canet also does have some kind of insurance built into it in other countries. And then now I got the car insurance at the Malaba border for Kenya. You know, so these are the kind of things you need to understand. You know, what route to take, conflict breaks out, how do you go down that route and all. You know, yeah.
So you started this journey on 6th of October 2022.
Yeah,
It took you 6 months to prepare for it. So
yeah,
I want to imagine your family was also involved in this.
yeah.
What did they think when you told them that you want to take the journey?
My family has been very supportive. You know, my wife's born in Kenya, so she understands that if you're born in Africa, you love Africa. You know,
Mm.
but they've been very supportive of me for this journey. And what they do is again every morning I talk to them. You know, in the evening when I rest, I just where I stay. It could be a border checkpoint, police post. I actually ping them my GPS location, so they exactly know whereabout I am. Morocco is a beautiful country. There's a lot to see in Morocco. You know, there's the mountains are great. There are old towns like Fez, Casablanca, Marrakesh, and all which you have to visit. There are beautiful seaside towns. And then also I went down to the Algerian border. There's a town called Egg Chebi, which is a very old historic town as well. You know, so when the Arabs invaded the French and there was the first war that was fought, so it's pretty much historical and all. Then what you do is you cross over into Western Sahara. Western Sahara is a it's a it's a country where there's conflict there because they're still trying to resolve who owns that country. So Morocco says they own it, and then the local Arabs say that they own it. But again, that was an experience for me because uh, there wasn't much to see down there, so it was mainly driving. But every 10 kilometers, you had a checkpoint, police checkpoint. But that checkpoint was for your own safety. That they would take a copy of your passport, you know, and actually and a picture of your car, and actually send it to the next police checkpoint. So just make sure that this car has traveled successfully from one checkpoint to the other checkpoint, you know. So then from there, I entered into Mauritania. You know, Mauritania was another interesting country, you know, so to visit and all as well. So again, some of these countries, uh, they don't have like the concept of campsites. So you have to go and stay in a hotel, you know. So again, stayed in a nice hotel down there. It was nice to see the old. The car is full of Mercedes Benz cars, you know. The taxis, the cars are all Mercedes Benz, so you actually see that as well. Then from there you go down into Gambia. Uh, then from there I went. Gambia was absolutely beautiful because again that's very much connected with the slave trade, you know. So the slave trade I went to actually visit. There was a film Roots that was made, and then I actually visited the Kunta Kinte Island, you know, to actually see all this. There's very beautiful museums and all to see, and then crossed over into Senegal again, you know, beautiful country, beautiful seasides and all, and then down into Sierra Leone, and then Sierra Leone. So this was an interesting part of the journey. It's the only African country that I encountered where right-hand drive cars are banned, so you can't actually take your right hand drive car. So that was a very interesting one. So when I got the visa, I asked the consulate, "Is I've got a right hand?" He said, "No, you should be okay." So I crossed the border, and there was a road safety department there. They said, stopped me, and they said, "Oh, right hand drive cars are banned. You know, you can't take your right hand drive." But I said, "I want to go and visit Freetown. You know, I want to go and look at the slave trade, the Freetown, and all the issues that they had and all." And uh, talked to them for nearly 2 hours and tried to get an exception to go there. But he said, no, what you can do is actually you have to leave your car at the border, lock your car at the border, and you have to catch a bus or a taxi. So luckily, there was a good African customs officer there, and he actually told me that here's my Mercedes 190. It's a left-hand drive car. You can take it and go and visit Freetown. So when I went, so I said I don't have insurance. He said, don't worry, my brother will take you there. So again, how friendly Africans are, you know. So his brother took me down to Freetown. I stayed there 2 days, you know, visited Freetown and all. And then I came back to the border and picked up my car and then drove down into Guinea-Bissau, you know. So that's again shows how our Africans are very polite, very humble. You talk to them politely, you know, they respect you for it, and how helpful they were. And then from Guinea-Bissau, the roads were very bad, you know. It's one of the worst road sections I had, you know. Then from Guinea-Bissau down into Guinea-Conakry, down through Ivory Coast, Benin, Togo, towards Nigeria, Ghana, and then Ghana into Nigeria, then from Nigeria again to Cameroon. You know, that was another bad section of road, and then from Cameroon down to Gabon, and down towards Republic of Congo, Cabinda. Cabinda is an exclave of Angola, so it was a very nice place to actually visit as well. And then from Cabinda down into DRC. So again, in the Democratic Republic of Congo, you can. So I was trying to go to Kinshasa, and then from Kinshasa cross over the River Congo down into to Brazzaville, but it was very expensive to actually across the river. And so what I did is again change of route. I went back to the Matadi Bridge and then crossed over the Matadi Bridge, and then when once I was on the other side of the river, then went down towards Brazzaville and then dropped down into Angola. You know.
Mm.
So again, from Angola, I went down into Luanda. Then I went to see the waterfalls, Calendula waterfalls as well. You know, but it's such a beautiful experience to be driving in Angola. Angola was a pretty war-torn country, but since I visited it, it's really nice to see what changes they've made. You know, the new buildings, the road structure, and all that Angola has at the moment. You know, so then started driving around Angola, spent about nearly 3 4 weeks driving around Angola, visiting different. Went to the Lobito down towards Namibia and all. You know, so very interesting part of the country. And then from Angola went down to Namibia through the Oshikanga border. And then from Oshikanga was interesting. The police stopped me and they said, "Oh, we are going to fine you." And I said, "Why do you want to fine me?" He said, "You didn't have your headlights on." So I spoke politely with the policeman, and he said, "I said I've just crossed the border, and you should pardon me for it." He said, "Okay, thank you very much, sir. Just switch on your headlights." Again, you talk politely to people, and the reaction you get is really good. Then I went through the Etosha National Park, you know, visited it from east to west. Then went back up north towards Angola, visited the Ruacana Falls, the Pupa Falls, and then dropped down into Kaukaland, which is the desert area, and they're trying to discover going looking for desert elephants. So that was a real adventure because you can't go into that area alone. You have to have a guide with you. So got a guide with me, and then what happened is the car actually the desert elephants roam around riverbeds, and these riverbeds were actually dry. So that's where the car my car was actually called. I called it Malaika, friend, you know. So the car actually got stuck there, and that's where we tried because the undercarriage of the car had touched the sand. It was very difficult to call out. So again, the guide was with me. He said, "You stay with the car. I'll go to the campsite." Brought a Land Cruiser. Land Cruiser came. That car also got stuck. Then they had to call another one out, and then eventually we had two cars, and we all managed to. They all managed to pull me out. But very helpful people again, you know. And then from then down towards Namibia, there's a lot to see in Namibia. There's uh, the skeleton coast. You've got old shipwrecks and all down there. Beautiful campsites. You get a beautiful. The I think so. It's one of the world's largest population of Cape seals. And also there's another colony. I think so. It's only the sixth colony in the world for the Cape gulls, and that's another beautiful place to see, you know. Then from Namibia, dropped down into South Africa, then went around the western part of South Africa, Northern Cape, Western Cape, down to Cape Town, and then Cape Town towards uh, Las Igualas. And Las Igualas is where the Atlantic and the Indian Ocean actually meet, you know. So it was actually good to actually see that part because that's the most southerly point of Africa. But don't forget that also West Africa has got the most westerly point. So I actually went and visited that. I made sure that I went to the most westerly point of West Africa as well. So then from southern Africa, I went towards Port Elizabeth and all up towards Johannesburg, the garden route, where it's beautiful to see all the fruit that's being exported around the world. Then from there, Johannesburg, I went to Kimberley again to go and see the diamond mines. This is the biggest open diamond mine, open cast one. So I went to see that. Then from there, I went to visit the national parks, Pilanesberg, Kruger, and then eventually Sun City is a beautiful place to go and visit. It's more like a Disney World in Africa. So that's a beautiful place to see. Uh, saw plenty of wildlife there, then crossed even to Botswana. Botswana is a beautiful country. It's very modern. Uh, you know, it's got the world's largest population of elephants. So I think so. There are almost about 150,000 elephants in Botswana. Went up to the Okavango to see the Okavango Delta. Then crossed over into Muremi National Park. Went into Chobe. So the beauty of Africa is that you actually drive through these parks, and the car was really good. It kept up, and it was nice sitting at your own pace, watching the elephants. They're just roaming about like zebras. So there's so many elephants there. Then from there, I went into Zimbabwe, saw the waterfalls. Very nice to see the waterfalls. Saw it from the air, saw it from the ground, and then even took a river cruise down the river to watch the elephants actually bathing in the river Zambezi. You know then towards Zambia as well, Lusaka, up towards there's it's called what's the falls? Colombo Falls. It's meant to be it's the second uh, largest drop falls in Africa. I think so. The first one is in South Africa, and then from there crossed into Tanzania, and had a marvelous time in Tanzania, you know. So right from the north went down towards Tunduma, Mbeya, Iringa, and it's beautiful because the more you travel, you always have this at the back of your mind is that this Tanzania, it's all dry there, you know, but it's so beautiful. It's green. You think you're actually in Austria or Switzerland, you know. So again, from there drove towards Dodoma, then down towards Dar es Salaam, and it was nice there you know, where the TBC crew actually caught up with me, and we had an interview which was on the TBC news of the day. So pretty much a lot of respect and all, very humble people as well. No issues. You've just got to watch out. There's a lot of speed cameras and all, But the thing is that always stick to the speed limit, and you want you'll be okay. And then down towards uh, you know Arusha, Moshi, went up all the way up to Tanga. Tanga has got Bagamoyo has got a lot of history. The old German forts and all down there. The German administration officers who were based there then went up to Tanga. There's a lot of war memorials that the British have built, the Commonwealth war memorials, where people from different countries who fought in these world wars, so you can actually go and visit them and see them and all as well. And then from Tanga, I went into Lesotho. Lesotho is in the Usambara Mountains. So that's another beautiful place to go and visit. Then towards Moshi, Moshi, I didn't climb Mount Kilimanjaro, but it's clearly visible there, And then towards Arusha, then went to visit the Gorogoro crater, Tarangire National Park, went into Serengeti, So those are beautiful moments. Again, you're driving, you stop, you see, you take as long as you want to go and see the animals and all. And one of the things I love animals myself, and what better place to do it by driving yourself and actually sitting in the car and then watching them, And then towards Burundi, towards Rwanda, and Rwanda was nice. It's a beautiful country, and I'll tell you, given it's one of the cleanest cities in Africa, you know. The last Saturday of the month, everybody has to stop work and they go and clean the streets, making sure there's no rubbish. So it was really beautiful. Again, it's very organized. They've got proper police cameras and all down there, and there is zero tolerance. You know. So it's such a nice. And then one of the sad parts is that every town I was crossing in Rwanda, it had a genocide memorial. You know. So I couldn't stop at all of them. So I decided to visit the genocide memorial in Kigali. That was it's quite an amazing place to actually visit them, and you still get till today people coming to mourn their lost ones. And then from Rwanda towards Uganda, went to visit the beautiful Lake Bunyonyi. It's an absolutely beautiful place to visit. Apparently it's meant to be the deepest lake in Uganda, and it's got 25 islands in it. There's plenty of history around it. Apparently, say that where when a girl committed adultery or there was adultery, they used to send them to these islands, and they were forgotten there, and that was the story around each of these islands. And then one of the beautiful thing I actually visited was the Burundi Penetratable National Park where the gorillas live. So that was a really good adventure, and that was a 5-6 hour trek. But you need to be quite fit to actually go and do that trek. But once you're to actually go and look for the gorillas, so once the gorillas are located, then you can literally stand within a few feet of them, and you can photograph them. And I took so many photographs in all of my whole adventure, and shared them with friends and on my blog on Facebook. And then from after I visited the Burundi National Park, I dropped down to visit the towns, Barara, Kampala, Jinja, and Tebe, towards Mbale and all, Tororo. But one of the key things is that me being a Sikh, we've got a lot of our temples. So it was nice for me to actually go and visit all the temples that I came across. So in Tanzania, Kigali, Uganda, and then the same in Kenya as well. And then from visited quite a few waterfalls in Uganda, and then crossed over to Kenya at the Malaba border. And then started my journey again. Beautiful journey. The beauty of this journey is that the landscapes you see in Africa are absolutely wonderful. And there's tea plantations, there's coffee plantations. You see them, you feel so. It's like being on a meditative journey. Seeing such beautiful landscapes. And then to Kitale, then Eldoret. I went down to Chemlil, where the sugarcane growing region is. Then went down to Kisumu, went to Kibos, again, sugarcane growing region. Kisumu was very nice to visit as well. And then from Kisumu, I came down to Kericho down to Nakuru, Naivasha again. Beautiful places to visit and all as well. And then eventually came down to Nairobi. And then now I'm here in Thika, my hometown.
And we're glad to be hosting you. We're glad
Thank
to
you
be
very much.
hosting you. Wow, that is quite a journey.
Yes.
And This means you've come across very many border crossings,
Correct.
quite a number of them.
Yeah.
Which can you remember is probably the most problematic, quote unquote, for you
Yeah.
to cross over, and which one was very easy for you? That the crossing over was easy.
Um, if you ask me, I think so. I can't say which was a difficult border. I don't know. It might be my personality that took me through the border so smoothly. If you've got the right papers for the car, you've got the visa, you've got the right vaccinations. The vaccinations, they do a check. You've got to have the main checks they were doing were around yellow fever, cholera, and made sure you have had your COVID jabs. So those are the key things. If you have your passports in order, you've got a visa, the car's got its papers. All the border crossings have been pretty smooth. No issues. You know, you have this. Africa has changed a lot. Border crossings are becoming a lot more efficient. You know, they've got this concept of one border crossing, and you've got uh, you know Kenyan authorities sitting on one side, next to them are the Ugandan authorities. So it's just like moving from one step to the other. You know. So I would say I don't think so. I had any issue, but again, it's one of the things. Africa, things can change. They can stop issuing visas. They can say, oh, you need to go to your home country and get the visa. You know, but on this journey, I didn't have that kind of issue. You know, you know.
Mm.
I see.
Now you're now in Kenya.
Yeah.
Is the journey over, or where are you taking it from here?
Yeah, I think so. If it wasn't for the Sudan conflict, then I would have liked to have carried on towards Ethiopia, Sudan, Egypt. But now, because of that conflict, that I've looked at various options and all. I've talked to people on forums. People have, again, communication is really good because people try and help each other out. And so, for the moment, I think so. What is most likely is that I will be ending the journey in Mombasa, and then I will be shipping the car to the UK. You know, so that is a bit disheartening for me because I would have liked to have carried on towards Egypt. You know, yeah, and there's no alternative unless you can tell me of a solution, or ask the Sudanese authorities to have a ceasefire for me to cross.
I know. What
Yeah.
are some of the lessons, or probably a lesson that you've learned throughout this whole journey that you're going to keep?
I think so. The main lesson is that you've got to have a very open mind when traveling in Africa. You've got to be calm, you've got to persevere. Distances can be very long, but you've got to sort of say, okay, I know it's 700-800 kilometers, but you just take it in a stride at a time. You've got your communications, you're listening to music, you're admiring the landscape, and that sort of makes the time go by. You've got to also be very, perseverance is very important. You've got to persevere and say, oh, we'll get there. You've got to have a very positive mind.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mhm. So, what are some of those attributes that have helped you
Yeah.
go throughout this journey? Because it's from mentally, physically, emotionally, it involves your whole
Yeah.
well-being. So, what are some of these attributes that have helped you keep
Yeah,
your faith?
I think so. The main thing is actually having a rest. So making sure you don't drive at night. Don't eat too much during the day, because you'll fall asleep. And then when you at a campsite, you relax really well and be prepared in the next morning to do the next journey. And especially because you're visiting different places, you're seeing things. Your mind just sort of. Example, I've been on the road for 7 months. I don't feel that kind of that I'm tired. I, I don't want to do this anymore. But you've got to make it interesting in your journey. Visiting different places, stopping, talking to people, and all. Yeah.
Mm. Awesome. That means you love the road. We can assume you love the road more than the air.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's a great way of traveling. And I think so. Doing this kind of experience is really recommendable to anybody. And I'm sure that people watching this will say, oh, an old mosaic can do it like this. Youngsters will be saying, yeah, twende safari. They will do small safaris, and give it another 5 or 10 years. Roads have become so good. People will be driving from London to Nairobi, Thika even. You know.
Mm.
I might do it again. I might just come from London, coming through Egypt down to Nairobi. And then you drive back up. So it's not impossible. The world has we need to convey this message is that Africa has moved on, the world has moved on. Africa is getting better, as well.
Traveling through all these different African countries, meeting, integrating with different African cultures.
Yeah.
Is there any local language you managed to learn? Or to
Yeah, I picked up a bit of Portuguese,
Aha,
so that was interesting, So there's, I think so. What you need to do is you need to have a lot more time, and you actually stop in a particular location, live with the people and all, And I'm sure, it's not impossible. It's your own mindset. You've got to be willing to learn their language. And a person like me, I'm quite willing to learn any language, You see, Swahili, I've been out of Kenya for so long, and I still haven't forgotten my Swahili.
Awesome. The British traveler, born and bred in Thika. What's your parting shot?
It's quite amazing. It's a bit difficult because I was born in Thika. You know, I've lived in the United Kingdom, so it's a bit difficult to decide. Should I be called the Kenya traveler? People call me Wewe Simbaya Africa Sasa. You know, So that is a bit difficult to say a British traveler. Born in Thika, but it's nice. It's nice for Kenya. Yeah, that somebody who was born in Thika, especially, has done this.
When we talk about Thika, is stirring up a lot of emotions for
Yes.
you. Have you managed to meet any of your friends?
Yeah, very old
here?
friends, very old. I've met some old friends that I haven't seen for over 40 years, and because this blog that I created on Facebook, people were asking me to share photos and all, So I said that rather than sharing with individual people, I'll just create a page and then I'll be sharing on there. And since then, a lot of people have begun following my journey, and some of them were old friends. I've made a lot of new friends, along the way. Even now when I'm in Thika, people are saying, welcome, and such a great journey for a person born in Thika.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We are proud. If they'd want to follow your blog, direct
Yeah.
us to where it
So
is.
it's my page is on Facebook. It's called Rooprai Overlanding Africa, and I think so. If you go on that page, you can actually see pretty much the whole journey that I've taken. So I'm about nearly 2 weeks out of. I need to update it, so I haven't had the time. I've had an overwhelming experience. Coming into Kenya, everybody has been so welcoming to see my arrival here. People in Nairobi, Thika, Kisumu. I've had such a good reception from everyone, not only from Sikh community, but from all communities. People wanted to host me. In fact, one of my friend on Facebook said, "Oh, you must when you arrive. We want to give you that music, that music
Yeah.
drink."
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
And your wife will definitely be watching.
Yes.
What would you like to tell her?
Oh no, my wife will be really pleased. She never expected this kind of reception and all from the people of Africa. And it's something that I never expected as well, to come across and visit this country, the continent and all. But yeah, she's quite proud. But you know, but hopefully she could have come with me. But again, it was a long journey. But we've been keeping in touch with her. So every morning I talk to her. She calls me. So it's been quite a good journey for both of us. So, but she will definitely join me on shorter journeys, and I'm sure she'll enjoy it as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
It feels great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
We appreciate.
Yeah.
And,
Thank you.
we hope there was no conflict. We would have loved to hear stories of the
Yeah.
other side, where you would have traveled if there was no conflict.
Yeah, exactly. It would have really completed the journey really well, you see, going all the way up to Egypt and all. But Africa is like that, it's just something, there should be peace, It makes journeys interesting, travelers. But when such kind of things, I'm just an overlander, but you can see the knock-on effects it has, for the rest of the populations, Yeah.
Awesome. From Thika to the world. That was the story of Ruprai Malkit Singh, who has traveled through Africa. He started his journey on the 6th of October 2022, And today he is here in Thika. It's unfortunate that he will not be able to go on his journey, but we were able to have a conversation with him and, to get to hear his story and the journey that he has taken and the reason why he decided to take it. I hope you have been able to learn a thing or two from this particular segment. I have been your host, Juliet Modoni. Until next time, take care.